Welcome to day 13 of www.PSLE maths.blog, and today, as promised earlier, I would correct a misconception about geometry. So let's start with questions. It's just a simple question. It's like a primary 2 question actually. This is like a primary 2 or primary 3 question, or even a primary 1 question. Identify the rectangle. Now, there's no need for me, no need for you to think. Most of you are going to say, this is the rectangle. And you are correct, this is a rectangle. But you see, this is not this here. Let's call this A, B, and C. But C is not the only rectangle. B is also a rectangle. Now, some of you will feel this is not true, because all throughout your life in primary school, you have seen posters showing rectangle, triangle, square, and you were told that this is a square and this is a rectangle. Now I'm going to prove to you now that this is also a rectangle. Okay, let me prove to you that this B here is also a rectangle. Watch this, alright? It's 8 cm is 5 cm. Is this a rectangle? Let's assume they are all straight lines here at 90 degrees. It is a rectangle. Good. 8 cm, 6 cm. Is this a rectangle? You will say that X is a rectangle, Y is a rectangle. What about Z? Z, 8 cm by 7 cm. 8 by 7. Is this a rectangle? You say yes, it's a rectangle, because the length is longer than the breadth, and this is the length and this is the breadth. So I'm going to ask you now, 8 cm, 7.5 cm. Is this a rectangle? And you will say yes, it is a rectangle. Well, let us try now. 8 cm and 7.9 cm. Is this a rectangle? And you will say yes, it is a rectangle. Eight cm by 8 cm. Is this a rectangle? Question mark. Is it a rectangle? Well, let's see here. We'll come back to this, alright? We'll come back to this. 7.9 cm by 8 cm. Is this a rectangle? You say yes, G is rectangle, because this is longer than this. Let's see how ridiculous the situation becomes, alright? 7 cm by 8 cm. Is this a rectangle? You say yes, I or H is a rectangle. Now we come to the next one. 6 cm, 8 cm. Is this a rectangle? You say yes, I is a rectangle. So you are telling me that this is not a rectangle. It's like saying at 1 year old, a human being is a human being. 2 years old, human being is a human being. 3 years old is a human being. 4 years old is a human being. 5 years old is a human being. 6 years old is a human being. 7 years old is a human being. 8 years old, it's still a human being. 9 years old is still a human being. 10 years old is still a human being. 11 years old is still a human being. 12 years old, it's still a human being. At 13 years old, he becomes a teenager. He's not a human being. He's not a human being anymore. And throughout all its teenagehood, it's just a teenager. It's not a human being. And then, when the teenager turns 20, no longer in his teens, you're saying that it's a human being. It's no longer a teenager. This is a rectangle. It's a special rectangle. This is rectangle, this is rectangle, this is rectangle, this is rectangle, this is rectangle. It's so close. When the length is equal to its breadth, it is a special rectangle which we call square. But it is still a rectangle, because what is a rectangle? A rectangle has 4 sides. Opposite sides are parallel, and each of the 4 angles is 90 degrees. Therefore, this is a rectangle. But what is a square? A square is a rectangle where the length and breadth are equal. That's what a square is. It is a rectangle. Now, if you are a teacher, you better read up about this and correct your own misconception. If you are an adult, you are a tutor, you are a teacher, please do not confuse your students. But if you are a student, just imagine how ridiculous it is. Rectangle, 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 rectangle. It doesn't become it's no longer a rectangle, and it becomes a rectangle again. What sort of nonsense is this? A rectangle, by definition, has opposite sides that are parallel 90 degrees. Unless you can show me in the definition that a rectangle cannot have equal sides, 4 equal sides, that a square is the name of this figure, and when it's unequal, the length and breadth are unequal, then it's a rectangle. Are you sure that's a definition? I don't think that's a definition. So this misconception, it was born when you were looking at posters and you were taught triangle, square, rectangle. You were taught that these two were separate figures, separate different geometric shapes. What your teachers should have taught was, this is a rectangle and this is a rectangle too. But this rectangle is unique, so unique that we call it a square. Why? Because its length and breadth are equal. That would be a more accurate way of teaching rectangles and squares. Thank you.